Hello and welcome to this week's edition of WCS Sports Connection. I'm your co-host, Jeremy Qualls, and with me as always is co-host Tate Mathews. Tate, it's the end of Week 10. It's in the books, and all 8 WCS Sports Conference teams are going to the playoffs.
Very exciting. What we've been calling for all year long, and what we thought would happen, and that's great. Very exciting. All these teams well-deserved, all going. That's not easy to do. You have 8 teams. You get all 8 of them in. That speaks, just volumes about the WCS Sports Conference.
I would like to look at the rest of the comparable systems across the state, if you would, and see how many get in, see how many didn't get in, whether or not everybody got in from their district or not. We do span across 4 different regions and classifications, so that kind of helps us out a little bit. But at the same time, all 8 in the playoffs may never happen again. With the new classification coming up, we'll talk about that here in a minute. But let's get to other sports action right now. Volleyball state tournament has ended the way it begun. First year for Brentwood Bruins, number 12 in the books for them, and the 4-peat is complete.
Unbelievable. We got a chance to – I know you saw a bunch of them. I got a chance to see them play Hardin Valley on Thursday. And, they're just – that's a dynasty, man. 12 state championships. That's unbelievable. The thing that's – when you sit there and watch it, I don't see an end in sight. I know there's going to be other people right here in this county that are going to have a say about that. But, they're just so good. I've seen 2 dominating performances this school year so far. Ty Chandler, the running back from Montgomery Bell Academy, who's going to play football at UT, and Logan Eggleston. That was dominating. She was on a different level than everybody else on that court. And there's some great players on Brentwood's team with her, but she's something special.
She's a sophomore.
Sophomore.
She was the AAA, TWCAA state tournament MVP. She's got trips planned for Minnesota, Wisconsin, Stanford, and Texas left on the recruiting trail as a sophomore. Garrett Joyner, the other outside hitter for Brentwood, is a junior, already committed to Virginia. A lot of those middle hitters, inside folks, liberos, whatnot, they're getting recruited by everybody. The scary thing is they could possibly even get better next year. You're losing a couple players there, but not a whole lot. Ravenwood had a tremendous season. Well, got put out. Page gets put out by the Signal Mountain, who end up winning the AA level. Great year for Page and Coach Rick Hess and his team as well. But speaking of classifications, Page going to be moving up next year to AAA, moving in with this dominant AAA group that we have. That just makes our group even much better. It's going to be a whole lot harder to advance out of this particular group. Yeah,
you got to think until somebody knocks them off, Brentwood is going to go. And with everybody coming back. Now, they're not going to regress. So, and then you throw Page in there, so they're all fighting for another spot. And there's a lot of really good teams. And Page, Coach Hess, he schedules all of them every year, and sometimes he beats them. So they'll be right there in the mix. It's just going to make the toughest volleyball conference even that much tougher.
Well, this week starts the TWCAA soccer championships for the ladies side. In the AAA regional tournament last week, Franklin ended up beating Brentwood for the regional championship, and now the sub-state was also held over the weekend. Franklin beat Hendersonville 3-1 to go to the state tournament this week. They face face Tennessee High School in the opening round. Clarksville defeats Brentwood 3-0 in the sectionals, and White House defeats Page 3-1 in the sectionals as well. Great seasons by both those clubs, but Franklin, looking at this going in, have a shot to win the AAA state championship?
Yeah, I think so. And that right there, what you just recapped, shows why that region championship game was so important, because I do think both Brentwood or Franklin would have defeated Hendersonville. Clarksville, that was a coin flip with any of them. So Franklin got to host Hendersonville, obviously with a 3-1 victory, and then Clarksville, beat Brentwood. I think Brentwood could beat them on some nights too. So that's why that was so important. But yeah, Franklin can go there and win it, and I think they'll be one of the favorites. Page losing to White House, another one. That little run between CPA and Page and White House every year, it could go either way, and obviously it went White House's way this year.
Well, fall sports are setting to come to an end right now. You've got golf finished. You got soccer finishing up this week. Cross country's coming up in another week. and now we're looking at football coming to an end, which is unbelievable. Playoffs about to begin. Right now, we went 5-3 last week. Not our best week, matter of fact, our worst week yet, but it brings our overall record to 44-8 for the year, Tate.
Oh, and again, you're sitting there with the 4 losses out of conference for the conference for so long. I mean, that's really unheard of. I mean, you get used to it, but again, what a great – it just goes to show when you go from, 3A, 4A, 5A, and 6A, we really do have the best school system from top to bottom in football anywhere in the state.
All right, here let's get started. This could be probably the biggest, I wouldn't say upset, but biggest surprise of the night. Brentwood defeats Henry County 38-13. We said it all along. Coach Crawford, his group, the Bruins, getting those guys circling wagons, getting everything ready to go, getting to make this last playoff push, pretty much backs against the wall, had to win this game, and they get it done in pretty good convincing fashion, 38-13 over Henry County.
Yeah, and I mean, there were so many things that were so impressive about this game, but that we really don't have time to mention them all, but they were down 13-7 and then scored 31 unanswered points against Henry County. Unbelievable. Carson Shacklet, a young man at the quarterback position we've been talking about, junior, just keeps getting better. 4 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown. And if you listen to Coach Crawford Friday night or over the weekend, he talked about really what they're doing is putting it in his hands, calling plays and letting him make decisions and find the open guy and then beating him with their legs as well. And then, if you look back at the Centennial game, what's been the Achilles heel of Brentwood so far on the defense? Stopping the run. Gave up almost 400 yards to Centennial. Henry County's one of the best rushing teams in the mid-state, and they flat shut them down. So Will Leone, 2 touchdown receptions. Christian LaBreche. Tucker Day hit a 50-yard field goal. That doesn't happen very often. That doesn't happen in college much. If you watched the pro game the other night, they went into overtime and ended up with
25-yarder.
50-yarder. I mean, it looks like they finally got it figured out and they're put it together come playoff time. This was a big-time win. And you're right. That's the other thing that was most important. They had to have it. Had to have it, and they got it.
That puts Brentwood at 5-4 overall, 4-2. You're looking at the Region 7 5A group right now. Centennial on top at 6-0 on the region record. Henry County at 5-1. Brentwood at 4-2. Rossview at 4-2 right now. That's the top 4 spots. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But right there, that was a must-win. And the Bruins and Coach Crawford got it done. Don't write them off yet. They get in that playoffs coming in at 6-4. Nobody's going to want to play them, even if they have to go on the road.
That's right. That's right.
Franklin, 7-2, 5-1, lost to Mt Juliet. This was a heartbreaker in overtime. Lost 42-35. Tough game for the Rebels. They get up there. They could have had a chance to clinch the Region 3 6A championship that night. Couldn't get it done.
Yeah, tough loss. Mt Juliet's a team that this isn't the same Mt Juliet team from the beginning of the year. They've gotten better and better as the year's gone on. Mason Earls, their quarterback, has gotten better. Really playing at a very high level right now. This was the one game of the year where Franklin might not have had the biggest offensive line on the field. They have some huge guys, and they run the ball, and that's what they did. They ran the ball very well, but it went to overtime. Franklin had a chance to win it. Just couldn't come up. Mt Juliet made, 1-2 more plays more than they did. Carter Hendry, 143 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 132 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns. The offense had 450 yards of offense, and I think sometimes we lose sight of this. You look at what those yards Carter Hendry put up. He's splitting time with Wes Patterson. So Wes Patterson, sometimes he has the most yards, and it would be a great performance if they were playing the whole game. Here they are splitting it. So, the offense was able to really click. Alex Gaka with a touchdown. JP Baresh, 2 touchdown passes. He got in on the 2 touchdown receptions. He got in on the scoring. So they've got the offensive part figured out. They just got to figure out a way on those bigger teams to stop the run.
Well, like I said, it's 17-14 at half. They fall behind 27-14 at one point in time. They get themselves back 21-27 at the end of the third quarter. Take the lead in the fourth. They came back and scored, I think, less than a minute to go. Mt Juliet did, to tie it up, to get it into overtime. And I want to say that did Franklin have the ball first in overtime?
No.
They did not. They
Mt
got
Juliet,
stopped.
right.
Okay, they got stopped, right. So, like I said, Mt Juliet goes and gets this big win for them. Franklin right now in the playoffs. Obviously, everybody in 6A is in the playoffs. Going to have a home playoff game regardless. A little bit of help next week. They still can win the region championship, but we'll look at that in just a minute.
One thing real quick, Jeremy. We always talk about the offense with Franklin. Defense, like we said, big offensive line. Connor Paul playing down on the defensive end position. He's playing against guys that weigh over 300 pounds, right at 300 pounds. Played really well, held his own down there, and I know Coach Webb is very proud of his effort Friday night.
Old Sparty, this hurts the soul.
Hurts.
Old Sparty loses to Stewart County 38-13. We knew going in this was going to be a tough matchup, a possibility of a coin flip whichever way. Doesn't look like Old Sparty quite showed up to this game. Stewart County wanted to prove a point, and they did with a 38-13 win. However, as you know and as well as I know, it's part of the process, man. You're sitting there with 6 wins right now. That would have put you at win number 7, 6-3 right now, 4-2, getting in the playoffs. They knew they were in the playoffs. Is this not part of the maturation process that you go through with a team that has never been in the playoffs before? You get there, you might have a game that you lose that you're supposed to win possibly or have a chance to win. Could this be that game? Because I hope this is the game and not the playoff game come later.
I don't know. I wasn't there. You would hope with all the things that you got riding on this that you're ready to play. I mean, there's a lot to be excited about this. I think Stewart's Creek is a very athletic football team, and they just kind of ran into a buzzsaw on Friday night. But you would hope that they were ready to play. So, but the bottom line is this. I mean, all year long, what are you about? We know what Summit's about. You just circled it. They're going to run the football. Tyler Palmer, 38 yards. Ty Carter, 55 yards. Dalton Fisher, 23 yards.
116 total yards rushing.
Hats off to Stewart's Creek's defense. Did a great job. They were able to stop the run. When that happens, that takes Summit out of what they do, and it kind of changes them completely on offense. The thing amazing about it is Zakreski, 194 passing yards. That was on 5 completions, so those were big plays, but obviously they were long plays.
There may have been more passing attempts in this game than the whole entire year combined.
Definitely most passing
So my
yards.
question is this. I mean, it's not something we're second-guessing the strategy, the schemes, and the coaching or whatsoever, but both teams play the wing tee, trying to throw a little element of surprise in there by maybe throwing the ball more so than usual. It'd be interesting to see when we look at the playoff scenarios, when it's final this week, and we see those quadrants come out and we look at the brackets. I would love to see nothing more than Summit Stewart's Creek about second or third round of the playoffs. Give them a shot at that. I think Old Sparty knows that they can beat this bunch. May not play their best game, but I'll take my chances. Give them a chance. Let's play it again. I hope that's the case, because that means that Summit has won at least probably 2 games in playoffs.
Right. And you're exactly right. Stewart's Creek is not 25 points better than Summit, and Summit's not 25 points better than Stewart's Creek. So hopefully they'll get another shot at them. You still got a lot to play for. You're in. Now let's make sure we don't have a carryover into this week, some sort of a lag. Let's wipe it clean. Let's get on to week 11, get ready for the playoffs.
Well, I'm going to say this real quick, and this will kind of I'm going to give you a cue for our next game that we're going to talk about. Hashtag 24.
Yeah.
And there's not a whole lot to report on this game other than the fact that it was 50-0. Independence led Franklin County at the half.
Yeah, very impressive. Obviously Franklin County's not one of the better teams in the mid-state, but still 50-0 at the halftime. Here's what I did love. We can talk about stats all we want to. This is the one that did jump out to me. 6 different Eagles scored a touchdown. Now, if you count the field goal kicker, that means 7 different Eagles scored. And, the starters, they were out by halftime, probably out before that. But you love to see that. I always love seeing guys, that don't usually get to score the touchdowns, get an opportunity to do it, and they stepped up when their number was called. So that was neat. We keep talking about it. It just seems like this offense keeps getting better. We knew the defense was going to be good. You saw that in the Smyrna game. This offense is getting better and getting better. They're getting more familiar to each other. And you're right, 24 in a row. I would think 25 in a row is going to be a foregone conclusion. This is going to be pretty impressive come playoff time.
Indy Nation, stay with us. Don't quit watching the show now, because I know we don't talk a whole lot about you. This is the first time that we have 8 teams in. We're spreading the wealth right now. When the smoke clears here in about 3 more weeks, we will be giving you all the love that you want. Indy Nation, there is no end in sight for this team.
No, and like we talked about weeks ago, here's what I think is exciting. Hines is getting better. All right,
That's the scary thing about the whole team.
That's right. And then you got we talked about it way back in the Smyrna game. You got Sheffield and Scurry outside. Both of them are sophomores. The better they get, the more comfortable Hines gets with those guys. That stretches the field. You already know how dangerous Henderson and Guidry are. I mean, these guys could go on another run now. And, they're outside of the Hillsborough game. There weren't any close playoff games last year. I could see a performance almost that dominating again.
I think they're clicking. To say they haven't quite clicked 100% yet is not accurate. So they're clicking. Have they peaked? Absolutely not. This team is getting better and better every week. It's like you said, Hines comes in. You got to look at Andrew Bunch from back when we got to the point of playoff times. Coach Blade, really, it's a seamless situation between the quarterback and Coach Blade on the play calling. I think Hines is right there on the verge of being there in that utopia of perfection. And we're looking at a possibility.
There's never perfection for Blade.
Possibility. Well, if you get to #30, it's 2 years of doing it, and we'll take it. So be interesting to see that. Centennial, 8-1, 6-0 beats Rossview 28-24, #CU. And I'm officially calling it right now. CU doesn't stand for Centennial University. It stands for Comeback University, because these guys are the comeback kids.
Hey, tough game. In the words of Coach Kreisky, it wasn't pretty, but it was a victory. Brentwood beats Henry County. They're playing for first place in the region championship this Friday night at Henry County, I believe, right? And I'm one of them. So, and I tell Matt all the time, I'm happy. I'm glad I was wrong. I didn't see this coming. Unbelievable job by his kids, his staff, and him.
We've talked about it all year long. And anybody that steps up outside of their coach's office, and even them, if against some true serum, that would say you're going to match, if you win, you're going to match the best record in school history at the end of the regular season and win another region championship, second in school history. Everybody say you're crazy. And here they are. All that stands between them and a region championship, matching the school record, is a win, and then it comes playoff time. So we don't need to lose sight. They need to get themselves in that semi-game on a collision course one more time.
That'd be pretty
for
neat.
round 2 to go to the state championship against Independence, because I think right now that group, with the confidence that they have, they lost by 10, I think, earlier in the season. I think that group thinks they can be. That's the Achilles heel of Independence. They think they are Superman's kryptonite. They think they can beat Independence. I firmly believe that right now.
Well, and just like we talked about with Independence, they're getting better. So if that's they only lost by 10, and they're getting better. So yeah, without a doubt, they firmly believe to beat Independence. You're going to beat Independence by outscoring them and outpassing them in the passing game. You're going to have to be able to line up, run the ball right at them, keep that offense off the field, and wear them down. And that's what Centennial is kind of hanging their hat on right now. So sure, they would love to have another chance at them.
It's just
a lot's going to have to happen to get there.
And they're running the ball well, which brings us to the WCTV Play of the Week. Jariel Wilson hitting the hole. Watch this.
8 Cougars. Time keeps on ticking. Ticking. Yes! I love it. Big number 6, Jarrell Wilson.
Haven't called his name at all tonight, I don't think.
Woo-hoo-hoo.
That was huge. Put Centennial back on top.
Comes flying through that line. Big hole off to the right side in between that guard and center.
Love this run right here. Takes that give. That line crashes that left side.
Big block by Wall again.
And let's go to the house.
As soon as he breaks that first, everybody was like one wave there. He was untouched. Great blocking. Wall came across and blasted somebody.
As you see that, Tate, he gets through. Did you see the pull and block there that gave him the opportunity to shoot the gap? Probably not using the right verbiage, but man, when he hit the hole, he went.
Yeah. Well, you hear the word the power all the time, the power play. That's the power. They just ran it. They just ran it to perfection. 63, Nolan Daniel getting out there and making a great block. And then second week in a row, Tony Wall gets over there. Both of those guys, they pull. Well, the fullback didn't really pull, but he's coming over. He had the second great block on that thing, sprung Jariel. He gets to the second level, he's gone. He's got a different gear than everybody around here, just a sophomore. So they ran the power probably 50 times against Brentwood High. That's what they hang their hat on, and that's textbook right there.
8-1.
8-1.
6-0. One game away from the region championship. Ravenwood 4-4, 3-2, loses to Wilson Central. That's not I won't say a shocker, but Wilson Central right now is playing really good football. Wilson Central has an opportunity to make some serious noise in the playoffs. Ravenwood got on the board first, scored 7-0. At the end of one, it was 7-3, and then Wilson Central runs off 10 unanswered, and Ravenwood just never could get comfortable. They have a lot of passing to run ratio right now. Just cannot get their runners to that second level right now. It's just there's a struggle there. I'm not exactly sure what the problem is. They have great athletes, just can't get it done right now on the running game. And until they get that figured out, which I think they will, they're kind of that one-dimensional team with the throw, and they got to get that other option in there.
Yeah, it's just hard. It's really hard to win, especially in 6A football, if you cannot run the ball. It just is. And Wilson Central is a team that can, and they can also pass, as we've seen. Well, if you look at the Franklin game shootout a couple weeks ago, so it's just hard to do it when they know you're going to pass. And McCain Morrow, he's putting up big numbers anyways, but I think he's done a great job. He's a young man that I think has really come a long way, man. He's had to wait his turn, and behind the quarterbacks that have been there the past couple of years, but he's making the victories don't show it, but he's making the most of his opportunities as a starting quarterback.
That puts Ravenwood at 4-5 right now, 3-3 right there. What they have to do is they need to beat Antioch come this week. I believe they do that. That puts them at 500 with a chance. They're going to finish fifth in the region right there. They will have to travel into playoffs, but they get things right. Ravenwood could be one of those teams that could scare you to death playing them in the first round of the playoffs.
Well, they beat Mt Juliet.
Exactly, and it's one of those things. If they get clicking, they get things working, particularly in the passing game, which may open up some running avenues for them. But right now they got to get it figured out. They got to get it figured out in a hurry. They got 1 week to go. They've got Antioch coming up. Fairview 9-0, undefeated right now, 5-0. Finally gets the monkey off his back. Coach Hughes beats Camden 28-14.
Big win, 9-0. Have a huge game this week to go 10-0, and they just
For the first time since 1992.
That's hard to believe. 1992, I remember that. That 1991 team was a good team too. Hunter Caldwell, 10 rushes, 110 yards, and a touchdown. That's how many yards per carry?
11. I'm sorry, I was looking at my notes here trying to figure out what the next thing to say, but you said that. I got you, 11.
I'm glad to see that because Jake Bethard, obviously, he's the focal point of that offense, and what a great player he's been. But Hunter Caldwell, he's a big part of their success the past couple of years. Great to see him have that game. Cam Harris-Lusk, sophomore, managing the game, man. Not getting them beat, and that's easier said than done sometimes. So, you can't say enough about what the Yellow Jackets have done this year. Very impressive.
Sitting at number 2 in the mid-state polls, in that top 10 poll right now behind Stratford. Playoff scenario for them was going to be interesting as well. Obviously, it comes down to this Friday night against Harpeth. Win, you win the championship. You stay at home. Lose, you still get a home playoff game, but you're going to finish second.
That's hard to believe,
and you don't want that loss going in there. You want to keep this momentum going.
Yeah. Well, because then you're on the Stratford side. It's some of the bracket. At some point, you're going to have to beat them, and that's fine. But you'd rather see them in the third round of the playoffs if you can.
Absolutely. Page, here's another comeback story right here. Page 6-2, 4-0. When I say comeback, that meaning look at the Page team of the first part of the year after they play Fairview. It looks like, man, it's going to be a rough year for them. They get themselves picked up, man. Here they are sitting right now, undefeated in region play. They defeat White House 38-20.
Well, and that's why, it's a reminder. Don't get too bent out of shape over early season losses. After the Fairview loss, Page thinking, man, we got to be – Fairview's sitting here. They're 9-0, probably going to go 10-0. Obviously a very good football team, and they've won 5 in a row. They're getting better. We keep talking about all these sophomores. God, can you believe this guy's doing it as a sophomore? Bubba Johnson, 138, 48 yards.
Running the ball. 3
touchdowns, again, a 65-yard touchdown. This kid's a freshman. and they just keep getting better. Turner Smith, defensive end, leads the way in tackles for the Page Patriots, and it was a game we thought they would win easily. They did win easily. They took care of business. That's a sign of a mature team. They got their starters out by about halftime and played a lot of young people. That's great work going into the playoffs.
Well, before we do the playoff scenarios real quick, I do want to mention something very brief. Flip on the TV this weekend. There's 4 games going on. WCS Sports Conference is in every game. You got Tyrell Dotson, A&M, obviously playing Alabama. Nate Johnson, first career catch for Michigan this weekend and a big win. Cruz Holt, MTSU upsets Missouri, who's got Corey Fantoni and Emmanuel Hall in there. Van Jefferson, Ole Miss. The list goes on. It's pretty amazing.
Van scored a touchdown.
It did, and had a great game. Most receptions in his career up to this point. It's pretty amazing to flip on TV and watch that. But I know we could talk all day about that. Let's look at the playoff scenarios real quick. Brentwood in the playoff. If Centennial beats Henry County, they could possibly finish second. If Centennial loses, they will be third. But regardless, they are in. They got a little convoluted there, but a lot of scenarios to happen. Regardless, they are in. They could go anywhere from second to fourth. Looking at Centennial, it's pretty simple. They win region championships, playoffs throughout, home playoff that is, and then they get second if they still home playoff if they lose. Franklin, if Mt Juliet loses, they will win a championship. If Mt Juliet wins and Franklin wins, he will. Dr. Defense will be second, also getting a home playoff game. Independence, hashtag all the way through the playoffs at home. Ravenwood fifth. They will have to travel in the first round. Summit, this is also a little convoluted. If Stewart's County gets beat by Lincoln County and Shelbyville loses to Franklin County, which is very unlikely, they will finish second and get a home playoff. But if both win, they'll finish third. They're in the playoffs regardless. It's just a matter of where they're going to go. Fairview beat Harpeth, win the region championship, lose, they get second. Both scenarios, they get a home playoff. Page, you beat Marshall, you get a region championship and a home playoff. If you lose, you still get a home playoff. You're in second. Those in limbo right now is Summit and Brentwood as far as where they are going. Everything else is pretty much decided, Tate. Which brings us to the pick'ems this week. You're sitting at 41-16. I'm sitting at 47-10. You still got the playoffs to go. But this time is running out on you, my friend. Time is running out. We got some tough ones this week. Here we go. Brentwood at Clarksville. Who do you have?
Brentwood.
All the way. Brentwood's going to finish this thing out on a high note. Look out for the Bruins. Upset alert in the playoffs. The Brentwood Bruins look to be getting themselves ready. Franklin, Lebanon.
Running clock, Dr. Defense.
Not even close. They need this game to get themselves back on the horse, if you will, get ready for playoffs. Summit plays a winless Columbia Central. Another great rehab game. I'm going to knock on wood for them, Old Sparty, get yourself back on the horse.
Yep. Summit wins. I'm not quite ready to say running clock, but I think they win big. And,
I think they win as well.
Get their confidence back.
All right, Indy, Laverne at Indy.
Running clock.
Hashtag 25, not even close. I mean,
I
I'm
don't-
laughing
I don't
about
mean
it.
that
I don't
ugly.
mean to
I
be
mean that as a
laughing about it.
compliment.
I'm sorry. I'm trying not to be unprofessional, but are you kidding me? All right, here we go. Centennial, Henry County could be the night game, one of the games of the night.
Yeah. Matt Kreisky goes home to Paris.
Oh, man, what an atmosphere.
It's going to be neat. Dr. Webb goes home to Paris.
Who you picking?
Centennial. Good game, though.
Centennial wins. Real quick, Ravenwood, Antioch.
Ravenwood.
Ravenwood gets back in the win column. Page, Marshall County.
This is tough, man, but I really do. Page is playing well. It's going to be tough. It's going to be points scored. I'm going with the Patriots.
Pats. He picks the Patriots. You know I'm picking the Patriots all the way. And Fairview beats Harpeth. Not even close.
Not even close.
Not even close. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.